Board of Trustees meeting for December 11th, 2019 to order. Would everyone please stand and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Vern Coleman.
Here.
Bob Zalka.
Here.
Cindy Brayman.
Here.
Kathy LaFontaine. Here. Chris Holmes.
Chris said he would be a few minutes late. Presentation of agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add to the agenda? Hearing none, we've been requested by our auditor to remove item 13B, approval of contract with Busting Company, so we'll just move everything else on. Hearing no other changes, the agenda will stand as amended. Next item on the agenda, we have public comment, and Mr. Gideon is not here yet, so we will take public comment on items on the agenda if there is any.
You had two PDFs, right? The second PDF was for the public, I mean, for your handbook, because they're that first one. Did you had a public handbook on there for today?
There, it should have been.
I was reading it, the employee handbook, and I got a question. Like Mr. Trump, our president, being impeached because he's not supposed to get any personal stuff, whatever. And according to your handbook, you're not supposed to have anything else, your personal business, whatever. And when you guys have your workshop and you talk about your budget, and you say, well, can I have 1% or no 2% or nothing, and then you all vote for the 2% like you did last time I was there, that I'm wondering if that's in conflict with your employee handbook. Because you're enriching yourself by voting an increase in your salary, and that's in the employee handbook for tonight. The next thing you talk about is May 14th, where you're going to discuss the budget. And you're going to have one public reading, and then you're going to push it right through. You're going to vote it in. And I thought there should have been a second public reading for the public to be able to vote or talk about the budgets. It's going to be out there for like 30 days, or there's no way for the public to talk to you. Like a public meeting about the budget. And that's on your thing for tonight also. That's 2 items on the thing, so you got to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? All right. Hearing none, we will move on to approval of the minutes of the November 13, 2019 regular board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes for the November 13, 2019 board meeting.
Is there support?
More.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. All right. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have the building department report, the EMS report today came in our email, office manager report, planning commission report, and this evening the NEMC minutes were in front of us. A motion would be in order to approve these, the consent agenda either as presented or if you'd like to pull something off, please state so.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Chris. Next item on the agenda is the financial reports. Kathy has provided everyone with the schedule of bills. Does anyone have any questions for Kathy on any of the bills? If there are no questions, the motion would be in order to approve and pay the bills as presented.
So move.
Is there support?
Support.
Is there any discussion at all? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Pardon me. Next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report. Bob?
In the general fund, fire fund, we have $537,184.69. In the tax account, $117,647.01. In the other PNC accounts, $44,547. In the investment accounts, $382,473.91. And in purchase and development rights account, $14,787.07. For a grand total of $1,096,639.68. Not really much else to add on the treasury report other than to bring to the attention of the board. I guess we have a certificate of deposit that matures next month. Actually, it's after our next board meeting in January. That's a North Star. Outside of that, I had asked the placed on the agenda the collection of the college tax in the summer of 2020. We have received a letter from the college, vice president of business, asking that the township collects the college community college summer millage on our summer property tax bills at 100%. So we asked the board to approve that by way of motion.
Motion would be in order to approve the treasurer collecting 100% of summer tax levy for Macomb County Community College on the summer 2020 tax bills.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
Support.
Any discussion?
I have a question on it. I'm sorry, I know it's not the right time. I just want to.
We're in the middle of a motion, and generally we vote, and if you have comments on it, we do have a public comment section at the beginning, if you want to comment.
I'm sorry, I heard that.
I'm so sorry. We will have public comment again at the end, and you can ask us something then, sir.
Okay,
Okay?
I'll wait for the end.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, all those in favor say aye. Motion is carried.
Second thing that I had asked to be placed on the agenda was the school tax collection for Richmond and for Armada, although usually we get their letters in sometime in December. Last time we approved it in January. I guess I'll ask that this be put on the January agenda because we still haven't gotten the letters in for that. So we placed that back on the January agenda for school tax collection for Richmond and Armada.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Bob on the treasurer's report? Hearing none, that will stand as presented. Next, we have farmland preservation. Vern?
Yes, Macomb County Planning and Economic Development is in the process of putting our grant application together. They've been working on that. We're got to have them in by the 23rd of this month, and I think they've got just about wrapped up. They had some letters they needed from Mark and myself. Chris has been helping me, faxing stuff, or not faxing, but emailing stuff back and forth. She's been a big call in that department. But that's our chance at this time. We haven't even set the applications in yet, but they're in the process of preparing.
And we did get those letters to them.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time.
Yeah, everything, so far, everything's been working with Jeff Schroeder on this. He's the one at the planning, economic development that's running.
Good guy? Pretty good to work with?
I haven't met him personally, but just on the phone and back and forth emails and that stuff. That seems like a pretty easy work.
Good, that's good. Any questions for Vern at all on that? No? Okay. Next, we have the building report. Jeff, do you have anything for us?
Sure, one thing I should just real quickly mention, we had noted about 2 weeks ago that the parking lot lights were not working well. The light at the south end of the lot was working only intermittently. The light at the north end of the lot was very dim. The bulbs appeared to be wearing out. We did have Ainsworth Electric come out. A lid was required to replace those. In these day and age, you can't really replace much with the old style light bulbs any longer, so they were replaced with LEDs. The last time in our records that we've done any work on those were about 10 years ago. These LEDs should outlast all of us at this point in time. So they were replaced with LEDs. The bill, I don't have it in front of me, but I think I've already forwarded the, I'm not sure if I forwarded the clerk yet or not, but the bill is about $680, I think was the cost for both. They needed to be done, or it was going to be done, so we went ahead and made it for repair. With that, that's, I think, all that I have to report on.
Okay, any questions for Joe? Okay. Hearing none, next would be the assessor's report. As always, Chris and Lisa have presented us with some information, and if anyone has questions, they can let me know, and I'll get a hold of them and get you the answers. Anything anyone would like to know? Okay. Hearing none, we will go ahead and move along to unfinished business. So the first item under unfinished business was the update of the goals and objectives. I did attach the personnel policy just for your review to see if anyone had any concerns. Chris did reformat it, did a much better job than I was doing with it. I did mention to Vern, I don't know how the board feels, and do you feel that we should get them to sign the new one again, or because we already have the signed copies, we just made another for a fine? Any thoughts? Vern and I were not really, you know, I want to put it out there and see if anybody thought any, but if we have signed copies, we're probably fine. We've adopted the changes and it's still in the place, so. Another thing that we discussed was the memorials, and Kathy and Chris were going to bring us back some ideas for memorials inside of the building. So I guess I'm going to turn it over to you guys and see what you found out.
I did talk to Jeff over at Razorback last, or 2 weeks ago, I think now, and I apologize I didn't bring any samples with me, I actually looked for some good samples, but he did have a good idea that he has seen some churches do, but they have like a tree, you know, on a specific wall, and then the tree would be like a permanent fixture, and you get, it's crazy because you want one that's like maybe a metal cutout or even a nice wood cutout, but for the memorial part of it, so they can make different leaves.
I've seen those, they're pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, looks good, and it's easy to maintain too. You need to add them where you're not really disrupting it, you're just adding more onto it. So I was trying to find a really good example to bring to the board, but I couldn't find anything quite yet. So I'm working on that. I can even get a sample of a week or a couple different weeks too from Jeff.
Did you have any idea how much, like, cost?
So the biggest cost is obviously going to be getting the tree done first. The individual leaves would be about $6 to $6.50 a piece.
Here's a thought. I just thought of it, you mentioned it. I wonder if you could create something such as a tractor pulling
That might be fun.
hay. And we would put the names on the hay.
Yeah. To be appropriate.
He said if you give him a picture, he can create it. What they can do up there with the material is pretty cool. So you do just need a design. When you give a design, you can make it. So I guess even a picture or something, you might be able to take that and create something like that. That's a good idea.
I think we should hunt for some, maybe try to get them,
Yeah.
I'm sure that we do. Try to get them to Chris and see if he
See
can.
if we can take it over and show it.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it'll be something we can continue to build on a little bit over the winter maybe.
Okay.
But you have some good ideas, so I feel like there's some good hope there.
Good. Yeah.
I researched a couple companies that I knew, and they would not guarantee that 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road that they're going to continue it for you. So I'm like, wow, that shuts that. And then my other thought was to go to Laser Mark, but I knew Chris was going there when we come back with information, so.
All right, well, I like that idea, and I guess if we can, you know, perhaps get you some pictures and send to you, maybe you can, you know, pick one out and take it to them.
Next, you can put together draft design too, and I can share that and change it or however you want before you actually make something.
Can you find out from them though, if they're, that's would be my only question when I ran into the other ones, because they've been in business a long time, but they're like, you gotta watch when you do something like that, legacy-wise, that it'll always be there.
Right, something like leave, you could probably have made elsewhere, if you're doing something
Yeah,
specific.
I think if you keep it somewhat simple, you
It should be,
go
yeah.
elsewhere.
Right.
Continue.
Keep the pictures and design, so if I were in the office, so we did have to take that somewhere.
By that time, I put on the
We've seen it at the hospital.
Like,
You know,
read it out.
hospitals.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And that really is, I like it.
Right.
I think we should just keep working that way.
Me too.
Down.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea. And under the update, we did send out RFPs, we did have 4 of them come in, and I think everybody will be happy, with the cost. The lowest base price was $3,900, and the highest base price was, I think, $6,795. The web hosting ranged anywhere from $350 annually to $950 annually. And we did have one that was just going to be able to put links on our website. So what I'm going to do is get a chance to look them all over and kind of compare how much, per page if we go over it's going to be, and all the little particulars we have, and then I'll bring it back to you folks at the January meeting. Okay? Okay. As always, gave you a couple of medical marijuana articles. Looks like Grand Rapids is rolling right along with that. Okay, so,
Just one thing, I don't know if everybody's aware, but Friday we are going over to check the house on Portland with the marijuana issue, what the basically got on it. We'll see what's going on. I don't know, that's what happened at Tuesday.
okay. So we are now at new business. And we are at approval of audit, but we will be waiting on that. So Mr. Jaden is here. And again, we removed the approval of the contract, so that is off. We are now at setting of CDBG public hearing. So a motion would be in order to set Wednesday, January 8, 2020 at 7 p.m. as the date and time for the CDBG public hearing for the 2020 funds.
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a support?
Support.
Jeff, would you please address this for us?
Sure. So this year, the township will again receive an amount of CDBG funds. The amount is reduced dramatically again this year. I have forwarded the notice for public hearing as far as the template language to the clerk's office, as well as I think everybody received a note of the amount of money that the township will be receiving. Richmond Township will receive in CDBG funds we have available to it $2,562 this year. That is all. The remainder of the CDBG funds for the entire county of Macomb, each community got a small allocation for service projects, and the remainder of those funds have been put into one kind of county-wide bank of funding. Communities can, in fact, apply for those on a competitive grant basis, which will be would be decided based on a community's project and need. In Richmond Township, unfortunately or fortunately maybe, we do not have a significant low to moderate income need in this community, so our chances of getting a competitive grant for anything would be limited at best. I don't think it would be worth the time to write it frankly. So basically, at your next meeting, you'll put out the public hearing, and you can allow for comment on the expenditure of that $2,562, which can be used for service projects only, no capital. A service project could be anything from using it to fund our senior center, our senior program, not the building. Or you could fund some of the nonprofits that come in that might make requests. Care House comes to mind. There's been others over the years that have requested funding various food banks and things of that nature. It is my understanding, and I'll get absolute confirmation on this before your next meeting, that the county has asked that you don't allocate, you allocate a minimum of $1,500 to anyone that is a service organization. So what that means is when you're only giving $2,500, you would have to give one organization $2,500 because you couldn't give one $1,500 and one $1,000 based on their kind of new rules. So and certainly you can't do the $300 here, $400 there kind of
Is that a county policy or is that something that the CDBG?
Steve was at the same meeting as me, so I keep looking back and forth. Since he's nodding yes,
That's not a county policy.
So it's a county policy because they don't have the. I think it's a manpower issue for them with regards to processing all these little applications for $300 and $500 kind of thing. And that was my sense of
That's exactly right.
so.
So you can't split the money, could we take like $1,500 to a nonprofit and the other $1,000 to our senior citizens?
That is not my understanding. It would be all or nothing, $1,500. So they really have made the funds, I mean, for years they've been making those funds more challenging to spend at the county, and this year is another move towards making those funds challenging to spend.
So I'm just curious, did they make that policy known to the nonprofits?
I'm not certain of that because I didn't attend they do have a meeting that they hold with the nonprofits, so I would have hoped they would have shared that with them, but I was not there.
Okay.
So that's kind of what to expect. Again, these funds can only be used in very limited areas, so for anybody that hears $2,500 and thinks we can, has some kind of idea that we could improve something in the township. Yes, there are things we've been able to do with those funds in the past, but they are very specific. They generally have to improve things for folks that meet low to moderate income guidelines, and/or we've been able to use them in this community specifically for some improvements with regards to ADA and people with disabilities and our seniors. I will just end by saying this has no effect on the funds that we have received in previous years to re-roof the senior center. So that project will still move forward. Those were funds approved in a prior year, and in fact have just been released in the last month-ish at this point in time. So this winter we'll develop a bid. We'll get it out based on all the federal guidelines. Hopefully award it maybe February or March so we can get started in the spring with that project. So that project will still move forward. It is unaffected by these new changes.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions for John? Okay, if not, we'll have a vote on the motion. All those in favor of setting Wednesday, January 8, 2020 at 7 p.m. As the date and time for the CDBG public hearing for the 2020 funds, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the zoning ordinance update. Motion is in order to approve the amendments to the Richmond Township zoning ordinance as approved at the Richmond Township Planning Commission meeting on November 20, 2019, and was then forwarded to the board for further action. I will make that motion. Is there support?
Support.
Okay. Steve, you are here, and Vern is our planning commission liaison, so I think I will go ahead and let you address all the work that you've done. It looks fabulous.
Thank you
I
very much.
appreciate it, thank you so much. So, but I think just kind of want to go over the types of things that you changed.
Sure. Most of it was just compiling it into a format that was more easily readable. For example, chapter by chapter, one chapter might have started with a paragraph section number, and then headings under it. The other one might have started with different letters and numbers. So I was trying to get each chapter consistent in terms of the line, starting with the section number, and then an A, B, C, followed by 1, 2, 3, so everything was, the same throughout. It was taking the amendments that you had approved over the last several years, inserting them into the correct locations, removing some of that language that had was no longer valid or repealed. And lastly, then there was some of the acts were changed. For example, we referred several times to the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, or the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act of 1960-something and 1940-something, and the act was actually revised in 2006 for zoning in 2008. So that was changed. And the only other one I remember was there was the Macomb County Road Commission was referred to many times in Houston Department of Roads. There were no concept or policy changes whatsoever. What you had is what you get. I mean, you're getting again, there are some suggestions that we can talk at a later date of some things I think need to be changed based on my review of your ordinance, but for the most part, you now have a compiled ordinance that has every revision and amendment you've had approved.
Vern, did you want to add anything to that?
So, I mean, the planning commission thought the same thing.
Yeah, it looks so
Just
good.
reorganized it and made, so whatever you do have to look something up, so just make it where you need to find
So true.
it.
Does anyone have any questions for Steve or Vern on this?
Good job. Same here, but I think this is excellent.
Okay, hearing none, I would like to get a roll call vote on this, if I could, please.
Sure, it was Greenwood, yes. Greenwood,
Yes.
DeVos,
Yes.
LaFontaine, yes. Zolko.
Yes.
Okay. Call vote.
Look at him.
You, the man.
Sorry, Vern.
Okay, motion is carried. Again, thank you, Steve, and thank you to the planning commission. It looks awesome. Next item on the agenda is the discussion of office hours. So a motion will be in order to discuss the office hours for Christmas 2019, please.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support? Okay. So as I came in tonight, I realized, obviously we're closed, so Christmas Day and New Year's Day are not days that the ladies would get paid for. And I must have had baby brain when I typed this, because December 24th, we are open half a day, according to our personnel policy. The question that I had was, I remembered last year, due to tax collection, we decided to be open half a day, and whoever worked half a day would get paid for a whole day. I know that Lori and Jan worked, so I wondered if we were going to do it the same this year. That was really, I guess, the only question we have left on this. What you wanted to do about it?
That's fine with me.
Half a day on the 31st? So
And they're getting Christmas Eve off.
they'll work half a day Christmas Eve.
That would work.
Yes, they'll work in the morning. They're-
You have a here that.
So you guys are okay with it closed?
I always thought.
Okay. Okay, so they will be closed with pay December 24th, closed no pay because we're not open on Wednesday, so the 25th, and we'll be open on the 26th. Open on the 30th, half a day on the 31st, and closed on the 1st, open on the 2nd. Okay?
Christmas Eve is all off.
Yep.
Okay.
So there was one question I had, because it was in, actually Chris's office manager report. It said that Jan was taking Christmas Eve off on a vacation, and they said, oh, really?
She won't need it,
She
yeah,
won't need
she won't
it.
need to use that, it will be just,
Just need to
right,
make
she'll
sure
get
she
to
knows.
save that vacation. Okay. All those in favor of the schedule as presented, signify by saying aye. Motion is carried. Okay. Hey, Mr. Dayton.
Hi.
How are you? We forgot to tell you our meeting started at 7.
Kathy forgot to tell me.
So, you are here, and you are on right away. We said when you got here, we would let you go.
Sorry, I'm gonna stick around, so
Um,
if you want me to do it now?
yeah, I think, yeah, go ahead. Yep.
We're on camera, so you're gonna consider where you have, like John.
You don't want to be on camera? We got a camera. People want to know who you are.
You know, the old thing where they had a picture in the post office? I'll just leave it at that. You know, over the years, my picture has shown up a number of times, so. Anyways, we went through and did the audits for June of 19, during June of 19. The end result was the opinion letter was unqualified, which I think I've explained to you before. You can get 3 letters. You can get an unqualified, qualified, or a disclaimer. The one you wanted is the unqualified, which is what you get.
You know what, I may ask you to talk to the mic though. I'm sorry, only because if they're going to want to know what you were saying, I'm so sorry.
So anyways, you received the unqualified report, which is what you want. So everything, we went through and did the audit. The bottom line is the records reflect, the financial statements reflect what we found in the records, and everything was in there. That said, the actual financial statement, we have a very strong balance sheet. I think the total assets were like $3.5 million. Of that $3.5 million, you only had liabilities, I think it was under $25,000. So, can't get much better than that. The ongoing question is, well, is that a problem? And the answer is no. We're very conservative. You want to be conservative. Sounds very good, but in the same token, everyone here in the room, because we're all have been through when, you know, things weren't so hot. And so things did change rapidly. And so I think you're in a good position. If somewhere you did have a downturn, you're in a good position to continue on and take care of your citizens and taxpayers. That said, we, going through doing the audit, everyone was very helpful, particularly Kathy. Which is not a news flash.
Nope.
And then, you know, all the other people in the office were very helpful. I think there was one financial statements reflect well. Bottom line for when we got to the end of the year, the income versus expenses, expenditures were to the good, 150,000.
Okay.
Don't know what else to cover.
It's good, we like good news.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for John?
I have some questions.
You do, Bob, you absolutely do.
Yeah, you make it look good here. So our change in that position from 18 to 19 went from 58,000 to roughly 171,000. So basically 3 times the amount. Okay. And also that pretty much comes from the general fund, which was like 154,000 increase.
Well, what you're running into, accountants never can do things simple. You always like accountants do things. So basically revenue in, expenses out. When you get in the front, you have what they call the government wide, which is a gas fee 34. And when we do that, we end up picking up the fixed assets and any outstanding long-term debt. And in the process of doing that, there's some variations that cause it to go from the 154 number to, the 170. So it's, some people, or what the argument was, by doing the gas fee 34 in the front, that was supposed to make everything a lot clearer to everyone. But I found over the years, I think most government officials use the ones in the back, that you're used to having, the revenues in, the expenses out. You do your budget based on that. So, I mean, it's nice that way you take the full picture, you pick up the fixed assets and buildings and the reality is, from a practical standpoint, you can't spend buildings, you can't spend equipment. But it is an absolute township.
The only other thing I'll point out, so it doesn't look skewed, we bill for garbage pickup, whatever we bill, we pay out. Okay, so this year it looks like we paid out like 18,000 more, but I think it was probably because we included one of their payments for next year in this year's.
That's exactly why things are skewed. The same with the wages. I mean, you've got 1 month of last year's wages, and at the end of the year, you got the new one, and they're different, of course, because it's a new budget amount. And it was 2 garbages billed on one bill.
That's what I thought. That's my question. I have another fine job, John.
Yes. And any other questions at all for John? No.
I think you've heard heard me say before, when you get the audit report, you go through it, it's kind of a dry thing. You gotta be honest. So, when you get it and you look at it, a lot of times you have to stare at it for a while. About the time you get done staring at it, you finally get the question, if you really wanted to ask, I'm already driving down the road. So the long outstanding offer is when you take it home, and all of a sudden you say, well, I'm going to ask John that question. Someplace in here there's our telephone number, and you're always welcome to call and ask the question. And it's not just based on the audit report, it's based on everything. So if you've got stuff that's going on and all those things, they don't think that we do with this. Call. I mean, not having the answer right away, but they can guarantee you correct things.
Okay.
Okey-doke.
So I'm going to be calling twice a week instead of once a week?
There we go.
I might start calling you once a week this year. So on that note, a motion would be in order to approve the FY 18-19 audit as presented.
Move to approve it, FY fiscal year 18-19, audit as presented.
Is there support?
I'll support it.
Are there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you so much. Okay, we are now on to board and commissions roster. So a motion is in order to discuss the membership on Richmond Township's boards and commissions for the calendar year 2020. Is there support?
Support.
I presented this to you, and the only change that I saw, I did ask Kathy about this. She is on the road commission currently with Chris, and I tend to talk to them probably more than she does, so I asked her if she would mind if I were on that. She said no, she was fine. That being said, does anyone have anything, any committees they would like to be taken off of, any other concerns, any changes we should make?
I think things are running smoothly, but I can't speak for everybody who's on the other committees.
Okay. All right. then I will, if there's no other discussion, I will ask for a vote on the motion that was to discuss that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Next item on the agenda is the review of the FY 2020, 2021, oh my gosh, budget dates. Motion would be in order to discuss this.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
Support.
I was thinking about this, and it is going to be January before we know it, and we are going to be, again, working on another budget. That is when I usually start putting my stuff together. And I thought, now is as good a time as any to try to nail some dates down, because the later we wait, the harder it seems to be. So I've just proposed, kind of based on what the dates were we've done in the past, our initial work session on March 8th. We're putting our packet of budget for review in April, public hearing, general fund budget, and the first public hearing on the fire budget, May 14th. Then voting on the general fund budget on May 14th. Second public hearing on fire and EMS June 11th, and then voting on that budget the same night. I guess I'm open for discussion on this. Does anyone have a problem with this? Is anyone going to go on vacation?
I think we got the wrong dates.
Yeah, because you got March 8th.
Yeah, I think the
You don't want to
Saturday.
come in on Sunday?
April 9th and Thursday.
Okay. I promised I was looking at 2020, so I thought, okay, well, then let's look through this. So, it would be March 7th would be the day. Does that make sense? Can everyone do March 7th?
As of right now.
Okay, that's why we're doing this. Okay, so then it would be April 8th. Would be, that would be in the packet for review then. Then May 13th, the next one. And then June 10th. That makes more sense. So everyone so far, these look like good dates I can kind of shoot for those, correct? Okay, then I will have a vote on the motion to discuss. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Just for a comment, I think that historically we've only had one public meeting on budget and the second public hearing on the fire and.
Right, because we're required to have the second one on the fire units.
We've been doing that for years.
Ever.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I wanted to make sure. we-
Yep. I've been on the board since 2004, and it's been that way, and I think 5 years, and I'm on the other half, I think.
Since
Yeah.
at least 2008. it's been that way.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so now we are at item on the agenda, we're going to discuss the recreation plan, and we will also be setting a public hearing. So a motion would be in order to set the public hearing for the Richmond Township Parks and Recreation Master Plan for the January 8th, 2020 meeting of the Richmond Township Board.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
Support.
Again, Steve, I'm going to kind of refer to you on this if you want to go over kind of the procedure, how we got to here. And I do appreciate all your work on this as well, and it was good we included the survey with this, so we can kind of talk about that as well.
First of all, thank you, and thank you who submitted the survey or had an online survey. And we had over, I think 75 people responded, which was very good. The survey is ended because we need to wrap up and start, finishing the document. All the data is in the document, the goals and objectives are there. What still needs to be fleshed out a little bit is your action plan, based on the comments received at your last meeting, or maybe 2 meetings ago, I don't know which one it was I was at. There is parkland acquisition, showing your action plan. There is development of a plan or needs for recreation equipment on the park if it is developed. And I think the other one, if I'm not mistaken, was look at potentially connecting to a trail or something, maybe the trail down the Comanche Trail. That's what I have so far. So it's basically purchase of land, look at trail connections, and improving equipment, playground equipment, pavilions, whatever, park pass, and that if and when you do acquire any additional property. constantly involved with this. They have rescheduled their meeting for January for, I believe it's the 6th, so that they can review and make recommendation prior. If they recommend and you approve by the 8th, that gives us about 20 days to make any changes you might have and upload it to the State Department of Natural Resources by the February 1st deadline, which would allow you to apply for grants on April 1.
That was the purpose, we changed the
Meeting, thank you for doing that.
commission meeting to try to, so that we can finalize it here, so we can meet that deadline.
Great, thank you. So are you looking, you said the action plan you had from what you heard was purchase of land, connect to the trails, purchase of equipment. Are you looking for us tonight? I guess it was kind of my understanding when I talked to Lori, to give you some more of our thoughts.
If you have any other thoughts on what you'd like included, yeah. The improvements to the senior center, you know, anything that's recreation related.
Does anyone have any comments at all? Chris, you have anything?
I don't.
Kathy?
No.
You did mention something about the recreation center and possible improvements, and we're using this, we're talking about the senior center, basically. I mean, if we're gonna be using that building, and there's some needs that could assist us in the recreation for seniors also. I think that we should keep that open minded.
Okay.
So you're saying improvements to the building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's restrooms, we had, 56 votes, and there's restrooms in there. And if it were open, that would also accommodate
Yeah.
that request.
That's not all I have. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what else we had planned to do, if we ever did get another piece of property, what else would we put in more soccer fields, or?
That was something else that seemed to get a few votes too, and
Yeah.
that's actually, I wouldn't mind that either.
Develop that property a little bit more besides just a play area or a playground, I would think. We talked before about putting a walking path in.
Yeah, and that was also a big vote there.
Other than that, yeah, I don't know of anything else.
I would like to see it, I saw in there too, some like picnic areas or pavilions that, I don't know how costly something like that is, but I know I would be interested in that.
Okay.
So I guess everybody that's good on the ideas.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
So very helpful.
Thank you again. We've been working hard. We appreciate that a lot. Okay, then, we have discussed this. We are going to go ahead and take a vote on the motion we made to hold a public hearing for the Richmond Township Parks and Recreation Master Plan for the January 2020 meeting. All those in favor say aye. Motion is carried.
Question. So the proposed plan that we've got drafted, is that something that's going to be made available to
It is already,
on the website?
I believe, as of December 4th, there has to be a 30-day viewing. Is that
So
correct?
Bill, if any citizen stops by or contacts you, we have to provide a copy of the draft that we have.
Is it on our website?
It's on the counter.
Okay, can we get it on our website?
I can give you an electronic copy.
Should we?
We should put it on the website.
Okay. If we could maybe shoot that over to Lori tomorrow and we could get it on there?
I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The only other thing, we already got one other one, the,
Right.
so we're just gonna run.
Yeah, I think we'll do the block grant one
Yeah,
first,
sure.
and then we'll do this immediately following.
Yeah.
So I think they'll both be noticed. Do you have a public notice drawn up for that, for the paper?
It's already in the-
It is. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that's right. It's in here. Okay. Okay, good.
So I'll send it to the paper tomorrow so that it gets in time.
Okay. All right. Okay, we are now on to cable user fees. So I'm going to entertain a motion to discuss the increase of fees for the NEMC cable services.
Make that motion.
Is there support?
Support.
I will briefly just introduce, I know this is something that they've been working, they being NEMC. It's my understanding they haven't had a raise to their user fees in 20 years. I feel like somehow they need a raise from the communities that belong to that group. The few meetings that I attended, it seemed like they want to increase user fees. We don't have a concrete number for user fees. Comcast, I've contacted her, she again said, no, I will not give you a concrete number for those. And, you know, all I could think of was maybe we can give them a percentage of our franchise fees. That being said, I'm just going to kind of turn it over to Chris for his thoughts on it, and then we can discuss how the board feels. Because I think we have to get something back to them. Aren't we supposed to do that?
I
Isn't
think
it?
pretty quick. I was unable to attend the last meeting. Looking at the minutes here, we really didn't specify what they want to do with the numbers, because I know currently we've been billing, not we, but NEC has been billing the townships 50 cents per subscriber times an X number of subscribers. If they've been billing those subscriber numbers for the last 20 plus years, those obviously have changed. So Mr. Rubenap had from Casco Township had somehow, I don't know how he did it exactly, but back to the numbers from all the communities bills, I guess, or their franchise numbers, and estimated a number of subscribers per township.
And that was what she sent me, the same thing.
And the NEMC board wanted to bill us for those subscriber numbers, the 50 cents per subscriber, the new updated numbers. But those numbers were based on backing the numbers from bills. And like Cindy and I had talked to, we agreed with it, that's without seeing something from Comcast stating what the actual subscriber numbers. We actually did mention our auditor. I mean, we can't just.
We threw our auditor out there.
We did,
Our
kind of,
official, our auditor wouldn't like that.
No, but we don't have anything from Comcast saying, yeah, these are the new numbers, it's okay to bill for them. We just don't want to bill for something that somebody backed numbers on. It just didn't really seem accurate. So Cindy came up with the idea of coming up with a percentage. If our franchise fees go up, it means we have more subscribers, although we don't know how many more. But if we were giving a percentage, if our franchise fees went up, then the payment to NEC would also go up. So it's almost like if it goes up, they get more, if it goes down, it's less. It's a percentage across the board. I wasn't sure how the board, NEC board talked about that. I still haven't heard much on that. I haven't heard anything on the new numbers. But from the last meeting, she did say, or they discussed, that they want the communities to approve a resolution stating that the PEG fees are guaranteed going to go to the NEMC board, as well as another resolution to adopt stating that the subscriber fees will also be paid to the NEMC at a rate set by the NEMC board. I tried to get to contact Joe today to find out what that meant, a rate set by the NEMC board. And I did not get a response from her, so I'm hoping I can make contact with them soon to find out what they mean by that. What they mean by that.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like they want to set that.
Yes, I know.
That's not what we want.
Right, I'm in favor of the percentage, if we agree on what percentage and what the numbers would be, but we gotta work that out, I think, with them directly. And I don't know what the other communities are feeling like either. I know
Lennox was kind of on board with the percentage. I think they felt
Yeah.
like we did that, you know, if, we say it's 15% they get, so if, you know, one quarter we get 5,000, we give 15%, next quarter we get 6,000, we're getting more money, they're getting more money.
It's fair.
You know, and I think Lennox
And I
felt
don't-
the same way too, and it's,
Yeah, like
Just
you, I
a
don't
set
think
number.
we need a raise. I mean, I'm all for that.
I am too, they need more money.
I'll make sure we're doing it.
What are they going to get even on?
Two,
I don't see the trend.
I don't know off the top of my head, to tell you the truth.
It isn't much.
I want to say it's two, like 190, 19,
Yeah, I want to say,
something.
I think so, because I think the numbers that they were proposing, I want to say for us, we're going from 242 or thereabouts to 368 maybe. And the percentage would have been a larger raise, but it still would have been something. I just really hesitate,
More concrete.
yes.
Here's my question, don't we pay them once a year?
The subscriber fee?
No, to the NEMC. Don't we pay them one check a year so far in the past?
I thought it was two. And I know that we get like 5 or 6 franchise
Correct,
payments
I'm saying,
is what we pay them. You could be right, Bob, I honestly don't.
I don't remember what the amount is, but here's the thought you gotta make sure you're aware of. We're required to pay the pay fees. On the last payment we got from Comcast, it was $55.46 total, but 48 of that was roughly not the pay. Pay fee was $663. So if we're making a percentage, we have to make a percentage of what we're getting.
Correct.
Okay, so it would be,
Excluding the peg fees, because
Right.
they're gonna get them anyway.
Yes, separate the PAC fees, because
Right.
no matter what that is, that's guaranteed for
Correct.
them. So the percentage would be based on the subscriber fees, or
correct.
the franchises that we're using. But we don't get, we probably just get one check with them all together, like you said, we don't get separate checks.
It's different now than it used to
Well,
be.
yeah, they give us one check, but they broke it down, and this last check is what was paid, and what was the
Is that
subscriber.
the first check you got like that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And that's how they're gonna come from now on, everything's gonna be all together, I think,
I
right?
think so.
Okay.
And if you want, I don't have it, I can tell you the amount. I don't have that in the top of my head.
No, I think you're close, I think it's
That was
close
like
to
19
two, yeah,
or 18.
and I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that
So-
figures about
No.
numbers?
Oh, the actual numbers?
I know she did send me in an email that I thought our franchise fees last year were a little over $20,000.
Which we get pretty few checks.
Right,
And they're right
quarterly.
around 45, 4,600 each one.
It's supposed to be
More than 4.
Sometimes they're spread out.
Because remember me and you went through
We did.
one time and we had like 5.
She just showed me the quarters.
Oh, you would know the
Yeah,
payments
it's 4 checks, they make it a 50 because it came up the way it came.
came.
We never come at exactly the same time, they're always spread out.
That's okay. I guess
I just need to take some info back to
Yeah,
the board and
I wanted to hear everybody's thoughts on, you know, if you're comfortable trusting their numbers. How do you feel about that, John? Us paying out township money on numbers based on nothing solid. How do you feel about
You're
that,
the
Mr.
real
Auditor?
man.
Go ahead, come on, tell me.
Oh, boy.
Now, if it's something that's based on a percent, it won't be, that's not sort of verification. That's how they can-
And that's why we thought that. We could then just say, we're just paying a percentage of the actual franchise fees we're
I
getting.
mean, that's the way it's normally done. It's an example would be, it's like where someone pays rent based on, the grocery receipts. So what happens is when they get to the end of the year, they make up a schedule showing you what the grocery receipts are. You don't just take, you just don't.
Yes, yeah.
Basically, you want to have some sort of verification that the number doesn't have to be exact, but you want to make sure that it seems reasonable. So you got to look at it.
So if they were giving us user fees and you felt that they were reasonably close, you'd be okay with that?
Yeah, but, I mean,
And it's okay if you would, and if you say that, I would feel better about doing it that way then.
no, I mean, if there's some way that you can verify that the number seems reasonable.
We're never going to be able to verify an exact number.
Which is shady.
Oh,
isn't
see,
it?
that's
It's
why I
like-
think we need to go, I think we need to go with what you said.
so what we could do,
Do the percentage because it goes up and it goes down.
then what we could do is we could take the numbers that, and I can't remember what Bill was proposing, our township numbers to be, calculate that amount of money, and then calculate what.
Make the percent
Make the
close to that.
percentage
If it's
get-
12% or 13%.
But like you said, if we do percentage, they're gonna end up with more money.
I think they will.
But I would rather do that. It's just like John says, you should have concrete numbers if you're gonna do
Well,
it.
that's what, to me, that this whole thing, I don't know that.
I'm sure I don't.
No, I agree,
I'm not.
I agree. I don't think that's what we should do. Are they gonna, they shouldn't be upset with us the way we're doing it, if they're gonna end up with more money.
Well, I think the only problem with that is they said that what we were told at a meeting was they will have to change their bylaws to note the manner in which they would be billing us. So I don't know if they're gonna have to bill everyone the same.
But then somebody's bylaws ought to give us exact numbers.
Yeah.
When you just want to pull figures out of the air, you charge us accordingly. You can't get a whole bunch of costs.
All they want is a proprietary.
That's no fault of the AMC board, it's Comcast not qualified.
Absolutely.
So,
But in fairness, I don't think they tell anyone. I just think they, you know. So I guess, am I hearing that it's okay that we tell NEMC that we are willing to give them a percentage? We understand that, you know, they need more money, and we're willing to do that, and we feel most comfortable
We just don't want to-
paying them a percentage of our franchise fees that come a check less those pay fees. Is that fair?
that is,
More than fair.
Okay.
and just to be clear, that is money that we're getting from Comcast, that's
Right.
not money that's coming out of the general
No.
fund to pay them.
No.
It's coming from
Comcast is-
Comcast back to AMC, just for the record.
And if they don't like it, we'll just throw the account on us.
Let's see what John said.
The auditor said he was at our meeting. So,
He's got a nice house over there.
That's the purpose of an auditor. Claim
that's right, and I have done that. So,
that darn auditor.
does anyone have anything further they'd like to say on that? Okay. So we kind of have direction from our board what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, then I will just take the vote on the motion to discuss. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Last item on the agenda is the approve the resolution of the 2019 or 2020 poverty guidelines, resolution number 2019-10. A motion is in order to approve resolution 2019-10 as attached and set those poverty guidelines.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
Or
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Motion is carried. Next, we have items for next agenda. We, I know, are going to discuss the tax collection for Armada and Richmond, correct, Bob?
Yes.
We are going to hopefully award the bid for the recod. We're obviously going to have two public hearings. One for CDBG, the other for the Parks and Rec master plan. All right, does anyone have anything else?
well, I have approved the rec plan. That's good.
So you keep this community fees issue on the agenda too?
Sure.
Hopefully an update on everything.
And to review and the auditor's contract.
Hold on, I'm ready. Thank you. Okay, sounds like a full agenda, and I don't think that I'm avoid from.
I'll
Okay.
save it for February, we'll talk about roads and limestone.
Yep.
I think it's a good February.
And we just got another call on that today.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else? No? Okay. Does the board have any comments they'd like to share?
Other than the fact that the local household still has the Christmas breakfast for EMS on Christmas
Very
morning.
nice. It's nice to do that.
We'll make sure everybody's aware.
Vern?
You sure?
Kathy? Okay, nothing for me. I did not give you supervisor's update. I had two things on it, and one I talked to you all about was that Lyle Wynn will no longer be our engineer. He's being replaced by a gentleman named Lou Urban. So, and the other was just some information on some property. Right? Gotta love that. Okay, now we are at the general public comment. Sir, you've been waiting ever so patiently. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that. I had come in and dropped off my affidavit for veterans exemption for tax. And they told me it would be
board meeting, sat through this whole thing.
No, I said, I never know, so.
I think it's at 5:30, Lori?
It's 5:30 tomorrow.
Yeah, 5:30 tomorrow here.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Did you turn in your paperwork?
I did, on the 21st.
Okay, so.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for your service.
What do you want?
Any other general public comment?
Yes. I just got 2 items I want to talk. I was reading your stuff tonight, and it looked like there's one lady to be working here by herself. I guess it's not going to happen. So I don't like the idea of anybody working here by themselves in this meeting, in this building. For security purposes, I always think there should be at least 2 people working here. Because what's going on around the world, that's what I think. The next thing I want to ask, you had a meeting last week about real estate purchase. Do you have any information you'd like to pass on to people? Where are you going to purchase it? How are you going to pay for it? And that kind of stuff. I asked about it, and they didn't have any documentation about that. And last week, you actually took a meeting, closed door, talking about that. So I was wondering, do you have any information that you'd like to pass on about that?
No, this time.
And as a taxpayer, aren't we entitled to that?
I'll speak with you after the meeting, sir. I'll be happy to do so.
Thank you.
Yep. All set? Okay, if that's all the public comment we have, I just would like to wish everyone Merry Christmas. Hope your holidays are wonderful. And I would ask for a motion to adjourn. There's support?
More report.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.